we can believe that Source created everything, if we really believe that, there is no fear, there is no evil, everything is a quality of love. Everything. We've been living in that as a collective consciousness since 2012. The whole body is behaving in this way because we are moving from our physical body into the crystalline body. I knew I was an angel because I had a near-death experience when I was 4. I went to the other side because my parents were in a car wreck. I still go back to the seraphim realm quite often to help souls prepare for life. I do that in my meditations, I do it in my sleep.
Guy here, welcome to my podcast. My beautiful guest today is Rachel Corpus, and this is a fascinating conversation. I know I say this every time, but I had a real good conversation from her direct experiences of her perceptions of reality and the deeper layers of reality throughout her entire life. And it'll certainly might challenge certain people's belief systems, but that's what these conversations are all about, right? Being open and exploring what's possible. She also gets into not only her direct experiences, but what's happening on the planet right now, why this time feels different and how things are unfolding. She has a lot to say in it. Very fascinating conversation. If you enjoyed, of course, be sure to help continue to get the word out by hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and even leaving comments. I love to know where you guys are in the world listening to this. Just these simple interactions continue to support the podcast and get it out there as well. And of course, if you really enjoy it, share it with a loved one or friend. As you can see behind me, we're just getting set up here. It's our first full one-day event for 2026. We're in Melbourne. We're in Abbotsford Convent today. We're doing a foundations and an advanced practice today. We'll be using energy healing, sound work, breath work, all helping us reconnect to ourselves and the larger source of consciousness. How cool is that? It's awesome. There'll be links below as well if you want to find out where we are in Australia and New Zealand this year. Come and join us, come and meet us. This work is transformative. The more we can get it out, the better, right? And we have a retreat coming up. Well, New Zealand sold out pretty much. And we've got Bali coming up in end of June as well. So why wouldn't you? Anyway, much love from me. Enjoy this podcast and I'll catch you soon. Wonderful. We are recording. Rachel, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Likewise, truly. Like we're saying off air, I stumbled across you recently and just had to reach out. I didn't know much about you, and I still don't, to be honest with you, in some ways, which is how I like to keep it.
Yeah, that feels exciting, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So I always like to try and keep that curious exploration and bring everyone who's listening into the conversation. Hence why I always start the podcast this way, which sometimes I feel like it's getting old, but at the same time, it just creates a great space. Is that if you were at an intimate dinner party and you sat next to a complete stranger and they asked you what you did for a living, how would you respond?
Well, I would simply say that I work for Source, and they would be like, "What?" And I would say, "Yeah, you heard me right. I work for Source, or maybe you call God, but I work for Source." And if they allow it, I'll explain further, and I'll say, "Yeah, I'm actually an angel, and I'm not crazy." Well, I am crazy, but not for that reason. I'm crazy and I blame my children and my spouse. I'm an angel, and I'm an angel housed in a human body. And then the conversation would either stop short because they would feel very strange, and then we would talk about the weather, or I would ask them questions about themselves because that feels very gentle, or we would get into a great conversation about the multiverse and Marvel movies and whatever the heck we wanted to talk about. It usually goes one of two ways. So that's how I would answer. If you were to ask me that 15 years ago, I would dance around the subject and I would say, "Oh, I'm a teacher. I'm a spiritual teacher," because I was afraid.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid anymore.
That really resonates then, what you say, because I'm kind of going through the same evolution in some ways. about just owning it and just being who you are unconditionally, and it's up to everyone else what they want to project onto you, right? And I think it's extremely refreshing. And working for Source is, yeah, something that resonates deeply as well. You know, it's interesting as well, and we'll dive into the topic. We can dive into the topic of angels, or whatever the source, whatever the conversation goes in a minute. But just to put it into context, as an ex-rugby playing Welshman from the valleys of Wales, never thought he'd be talking about these things at all. But through that exploration of self and through awakening moments and then direct experiences, then things start to become undeniable, and that things become
Yeah.
a knowing, not just a belief. And it's through that I've continued to open up to explore more, even to the point where I feel those angelic beings coming in to the field, which is, I can't even wrap my head around it sometimes, even when saying it out loud, you know. So I
Right. That's the vulnerable thing. Say it out
mm,
loud because it is reality. And yes, you go from a time in your life where you think, is what's happening to me? Is this is my belief system that feels lovely? And then you graduate a level into this is belief system and also sources proving your belief system and integrated into your life is proof. And the proof is just as valid as gravity. And you turn the light switch on and the light appears. And when you get to that place in your life, and that place in your life isn't merit-based love from source. No, it matches where you are in your growth, because your spiritual growth isn't an award system. It matches when you're ready. If you're not scared of it, and if you're ready to break out of any paradigms that maybe belong to your ancestors or your parents or your teachers, when you're ready to break out of that old box or that sweater that's too tight, then you're going to start to see the proof that matches you.
yeah.
That's what I found anyway.
On that note, do you think we're in, what is your view on this particular time in history right now in terms of waking up as a species, as a humanity,
Unique.
and what's driving it?
It's unique because, from an angel perspective, this is not the only time I've been to Earth. And the other times that I've been here on mission because the collective consciousness, let me say, that will be people who are out of body and people who are beings who are out of body and beings who are both in body. There has been a collective movement to move toward peace. Well, that's why we're around anyway. We keep incarnating because, well, what lessons do we need to move toward peace? How do we keep elevating ourselves so that we can learn the lessons, so we're not jealous anymore, so we don't hurt each other anymore? How do we remember that we are not actually separate from each other? How do we immerse back into the God source? Well, through that process over and over, there has been a theme, and that theme has been, we don't want to suffer anymore. We don't need the hate anymore. And that has started with one or two voices in unison. And then the song changed. It went to 2 parts, then 3 parts, 4 parts, then the infinite voices. And without this sounding like a conspiracy theory, forgive me, but in other iterations and other timelines, that massive intention or prayer for help, or that intention that we are ready for a more loving timeline to show up, it has been sabotaged by fear. It's been sabotaged. You can think of it 2 ways: an outside party coming in and saying, no, we're not going to do that, there's a reset button. Or you can look at that symbolically, and one's own ego will sabotage and say, I don't think I can do that. That's too scary. I'm going to stay in what's known. Either way, it hasn't happened before. We have not been able to go over that hump and go into our real knowing who we are, which is we are one with Source and we are pure love and we don't need to struggle. What's different about now is in 2012, in this incarnation that we're all in right now, this timeline, in 2012, a new timeline opened up. People are calling this New Earth, the awakening. Well, this new timeline that opened up, what it did was it allowed an open portal, an open vibration for every single being. Again, not merit-based, not a reward system, an invitation. And this invitation is different. It opened up because there were enough people that are saying, hey, we've had it, let's do something different. And then also, it corrupted the third dimension. It corrupted the dimension that is the eat, sleep, poop, do it again the next day dimension, where we are locked in a prison. We're locked in the repeated motion, the perpetual motion, like hamsters on a wheel. It knocked that on its butt. It actually killed that dimension. So even though it seems like we're stuck in war and famine, what's actually happening, my friend, is that dimension died, and we are living out the decomposition of that dimension. Like a bell that's rung, the bell already rung, but we're still listening to the reverberation. In 2012, the more loving timeline opened up, and we've been living in that as a collective consciousness since 2012. Our job or our privilege has been to become aware of it with every peaceful, moral choice that we are choosing to make. We become a little more aware of it. And because we're more aware this time around, it cannot be sabotaged. Getting there could be a little bit messy because we're still walking around in the decomposition of our old choices, the 3D dimension. We also have the fourth dimension, which is the spirit realm, layered on and really active, which is why we talk a lot about angels on Earth, extraterrestrial visits. Gosh, I'm seeing shadow people around in the corner of my eye. We have a whole bunch of paranormal stuff going on because the fourth dimension is very active as well. And it's all smushed on top like a whole salad happening all at once.
Do you think that's because like people are having more sightings and seeing more different aspects of spirit because our I'm trying to frame it the right way, but biologically this thing's opening up with us, that's then being able to see what's already always been there, you know?
Yes.
Because it's fascinating you
Yes.
say 2012, because obviously that's come up in the theme of the podcast. My initial real sort of tangible awakening started happening in 2013. In that year, you know, and prior to that, I felt like I was in the heat, being slowly heated for the popcorn kernel to start to pop.
Your alchemy was beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your silver was heating, is what I heard your guide say.
Okay.
Your silver was heating.
What do you mean by the silver?
I don't know. Let's ask them. They said, the elements of you as a sovereign being, it's like you have elements in your auric field, and they're speaking specifically about you and the beings that are like you. Do you know your origin?
No.
It's extraterrestrial or something. But there's something in your, like where you were first created, where you got your first spark of life. There's something that's almost, it tastes like platinum, but it's not that. It's another substance. And so going into this new timeline opening up in 2012, 2013, moving into it, the elements of you were heating up like refiner's fire. And it was heating up so much that Source could actually see the image of itself in you, and you could see the image of Source in yourself. Like refining silver, you know when it's heated enough because you can see a reflection in it. It was the same process for you.
Fascinating.
You're calling it refiner's fire. Yeah, and that's coming from a guide that you have that is clearly, I'm going to say ultra terrestrial, and I don't always know what those terms mean, but what it feels like is they're on some sort of higher council, and they know you, and they know the work that you do. Not in a way to stroke your ego, they're saying, but just informational. They know you as a researcher, as a story keeper. So there is something alchemizing in your physical body, getting you ready for that timeline opening up. And they wish to share that because others hearing it might also say, oh, my gosh, that was happening to me too. It's like a spiritual hot flash. Woo.
Fascinating. Thank you. It is
Yeah.
fascinating because I almost feel like I've been too busy to like it's like I've lent into just taking action and getting out there and following my heart and that drive and that purpose, and then other elements that present itself are slowly falling into place naturally, or origins, history, ancestry, and things like that. I haven't, I'm not generally drawn to that kind of stuff because I'm just like, no, this is my mission, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I feel called to do, and the rest kind of opens
Yeah.
up.
Well, it'll come in when it's supposed to, just like that. Like, what a delightful puzzle piece that you weren't even looking for. And we don't need to look for those. They'll come up as they're supposed to come up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fascinating, fascinating. And just on a side note for people, like, because things are alchemizing again, like I feel like I'm in another real process at the moment, and it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? And to see what the next layer, the next chapter starts to bring from that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's such a
Love.
it's such a wild ride, and this is why I love having podcasts and conversations and hearing other people's perspectives as well, to help people know what's possible, and even for me too. And I'm thinking where to take this conversation next, but with your journey, have you always been awake? Like for me, it was 2013. Things really started coming online. How about yourself?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't know that I always knew what that meant. And here's my explanation for that. Because I was born with these gifts, I thought that they were as normal as learning one's colors when I was a child.
Wow.
So, people ask me, what did your family think? Well, I didn't tell them, because how do you tell your family? Why would you tell your family that you're thirsty, or that today we learned about the color purple in school? It was just so normal to me. It was really, I started to realize that I was experiencing something different. I didn't know it was positive or negative. I just knew it was different. I started to experience that difference when I was in early elementary school, when I started to, I guess, thinking about this from a more like developmental space. I was finally feeling brave enough to play cooperatively with other kids and not just parallel play. And so when I started to play with other kids and I would reference a grandmother that was with them, and, we were at school playing in centers or something, and they would respond with, there's no one there. Or I told my mom about that and she said, I'm not supposed to play with you anymore. Things like that. I quickly learned that's not okay. Or at church, if I would see Jesus standing behind the priest and he would wave at me and then give me a download telepathically that the story's incomplete. Here's what really happened. And then I would say it to my catechism teachers and they would say, nicely, but they would say, that's not your job. You don't know that. Just listen. Well, you begin to just be quiet. And then, of course, going into junior high, I just was worried. I was worried about body odor and I wanted my breasts to grow. I just wanted to be a kid. I just wanted to be normal. So that just growing up, I was just worried about normal kid stuff. And I knew I was an angel because I had a near-death experience when I was 4. I went to the other side because my parents were in a car wreck. My whole family was in a car wreck. And so the angels that I had been seeing since I was a baby and playing with, they looked like traditional angels to me because I was raised Catholic. And I saw them in my near-death experience and they said, well, we're going to do something different today. Something's happening with your body. We don't want you to see it, but we're going to go on a field trip. And then there was this other voice, and it's this voice that you hear. It's my adult voice. And I remember thinking, I do not like that voice. Who is that teacher that's with us? And they said, oh, that's your grown-up voice. And later on in my life, they told me it was called my consciousness. And that's when I started to learn about that big idea. But in that field trip, they took me to heaven and they took me to the seraphim realm. And they said, this is who you are. And they said, now get ready. We're going to show you what seraphim angels really look like. And they showed me, and it's like the angels that are the wheel of eyes with like all of the wings. And I'm like, that's what I am. And I'm like, yeah, but don't be scared because angels look all sorts of ways. And you've been seeing us this way because that's what it looks like in the Bible that you have at home. But we're not really, I don't remember, this was a feeling they gave me. We're not really religious. We're love. So we just look the way people want us to look, but this is what you look like. And they showed me kind of what my job was as a seraphim. We're watchers. We keep track of things. We upload information back to God. And then they walked me into the nursery because this is where we prepare when we're about to incarnate, whether it's Earth or another planet. This is where we plan our life. And so there's lots of souls that are just about to be born. They showed me my locker. They showed me the shoes I wear when I'm there, when I'm in a physical form. Like if I'm about to show up for someone, not as a wheel of eyes, and I want to look like a traditional angel, this is what you look like. And sometimes my 4-year-old self would come back in and I would say, wait, but if I'm doing that, do I still get to play house? When do we have snack? I remember thinking things like that. And they would answer and they say, oh, yes, we play over here all the time. Oh, there's plenty to eat over here. Then they showed me what my mission would be or what my mission is supposed to be as an angel. And they walked me through that. And they said, you can do that here. You can do it on Earth. They showed me in great detail what things would be happening on Earth. That part's interesting because I've had other near-death experiences in this life and other out-of-body experiences through astral travel, meditation, etc. And they've shown me updates of what happens on the Earth, politically, weather, extraterrestrial visits. And it's been consistently the same with a few changes here and there. But they first showed me that when I was 4. And they showed me some things in my personal timeline. And that didn't mean a darn thing to me because I was 4. Like married, gross. Ew, I'm not going to get married. 2 times, yuck. Ew, I don't want to have kids. Yuck, I'm going to drink wine. Ew. But they showed me all of that. And then when they said, are you going to go back? Are you going to stay? I didn't make a choice. I remembered my mama. And as soon as I remembered my mom and I didn't want to make her sad, I was whoosh back into my body. And I was 4 years old again.
Wow. Did you tell anyone after?
Yeah. I told someone at church. I told my priest at church. And he was someone that he called me Smiley because I was always smiling. And that was our code word because he could see my wings. He could see my auric field. And I told him what had happened on the other side. And he believed me. And he said, this is going to be a hard road for you because now that you know who you are, it doesn't mean that life is going to be easy, but you'll be protected. So when I call you Smiley, I'm telling you, I see who you are. And he's the one I told. He said, but don't tell anyone else. He said, you're not supposed to keep secrets from grown-ups, but this is one where you have special permission. And then as I grew up, for as long as he was alive, he would help me with things. And he taught me how to do some exorcisms. He taught me some things that were real and not real in the Catholic Church. Taught me what he knew. And he's since passed, but he's wonderful.
So the seraphim realm, I'm assuming that's a realm in higher dimensions, in a different existence. It's not like
Right.
a destination in the universe somewhere. Or
Right.
yeah.
When they took me there, it seemed like a real place. And I can go there in meditation and even feel my feet walking on
Really?
a surface, but an energetic place, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? How did that, when you started, once that happened, because I'm trying to bring in conjunctions in some of my own journey as well, because once I started having out of body experiences and started having these astral experiences. Even I remember a wormhole turning up and going down it. But
Yep.
it would freak me out. It would absolutely freak
Yeah.
me out because I'm still entrenched. There's fear still within me. There's resonance in that. And then it's easy to project that fear into that space and go, oh my God, you
Mm.
mean I'm not my body? Yes, you have these experiences, but there's, it's almost like there's frequencies or beliefs that are beyond the conscious mind that sabotage it, whether you no matter how much courage you throw at it in some respects.
That's right. That's right. And also, we are here. One of our collective purposes here is to experience everything in neutrality. And that is the supreme energy work, the supreme alchemy that we get to do here. Because if we can believe that Source created everything, if we really believe that, there is no fear, there is no evil, everything is a quality of love, everything. So when we're out of our body, that means if we are collaborating with Source, if we are not separate from Source, that means we're working with Source. And even though in our ego brain, our thinking brain, we may not remember where we're going in that wormhole, there was a point where we created that journey with God, with Source. We mapped it out. So you can let go and say, all right, I'm going to go down this slide. I'm okay. And even that's taking it too far. We could just say to ourselves, I'm neutral. I am neutral. I'm not going to judge this. It's no longer awesome. It's not bad. I'm just neutral and just see where it goes. Because once you do that, then you are immersed back into the molecule, back into the source molecule, and you are no longer limiting yourself from what you are actually meant to feel, which is the highest vibration possible. And you'll come back to your body. You will. You always will. But that feeling of fear, it's like it's a false switch to help us get back, but we don't need it. And I've even seen some written into some people's physical or their auric, some people's physical system, some people's auric system. It was written in when they had past lives in the Holocaust, when they've had past lives when they experienced shock therapy. Sometimes something got written in and it was against their will. They did not get permission for this to be written in, and it was to oppress them. So we have these beautifully gifted people who are psychic, they travel well, or they were big dreamers, they were inventors, artists. And then when they were captured, something was written in through their torture, through repeated music on speakers that was too loud. And in this current version of them, they have this off switch that when they feel like they're out of control, they'll stay in their body. So one of the ways to heal that is that when you go into a non-normative state, like, well, wow, I'm going through a wormhole, you get to say to yourself, I'm just along for the ride. Let's see how this Netflix show pans out for me. I'm just along for the ride. Because then it negates that off switch that very well got programmed into your body in a different timeline against your will. And then the part that you willingly kept was, I'm going to keep that because I'm going to poke at it. I'm going to get rid of it. As soon as I find that wormhole, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to pull it out. And that's how you do it.
Yeah, fascinating. That makes complete sense. With your gifts that you have, were they, did you suppress them after from childhood trying to fit in? And was there like a reactivation point coming back online? And like, how did that journey start to look for you and how you developed them to where you are now?
I did suppress them. Different times in my life, I suppressed them sometimes when the psychic activity would be too immense for me and I wasn't ready for it, I would sometimes say to spirit, I don't want you right now. And of course they listen. And so it would go away so much that I even have a couple years in my life where I did not remember I was psychic at all. It was that distinct. It went away. And that would be my freshman year of college, freshman and sophomore year. And then my junior year of college, the house I lived in was haunted and it started to come back. So sometimes it's just something as small as that where I realized, oh, there's people here that are not in body, and then it all came back. Now, there are other times in my life when I was older that my own personal timeline was so difficult that, I lost a baby. I was in a career that I thought would match me, but it didn't. I was in religion. I was in the religious sect, going through seminary, leading large churches. And I thought, surely that's what God wants from me. Surely. No. But in order to maintain that during the day, and feel all those feelings and try to fit the box, I was drinking at night. And so that was lowering my frequency so much that I was not in touch with my gifts. But during the day, I was masking and I was holy. I was kind and I was holy, but I was not in communication with source at all. And so examples like that, most certainly, we're in control. We have free will. So even though I have these gifts that I said yes to, and I have a mission that I was asked to do, and I said yes, at any time I can say, I don't want that. And what brought it back to me was I said to God at some point, all right, I can feel your nudge. I don't like it. It's too much. But if we're going to do this, prove it, because I can't do this in between thing. I can't. And so if you really want me to work for you and with you, show me in a real way. And then my life just completely went a different way. I got fired from the traditional church where I was working because I wouldn't be quiet about being psychic anymore. And I started studying to be a spiritual minister. And that is the time in my life where I decided I'm not going to hold back who I am. I'm not going to poke people with it, but when they ask who I am, I'm going to say, this is who I am. I work for God now. I made a deal. I work for God. I'm a psychic. And then soon after, I started to say I'm an angel. And I said, God, I hope you don't hear this as lack of faith, but since you said we're working together, fill my calendar, please. Because I have 3 children I'm taking care of. And my husband is a worrier, and I don't want to put this on his shoulders. So this is what I mean when I said prove it. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes, but I want to collaborate with you, but this is what I'm laying out for you. And so within a month or two, it was all laid out. I was making more by helping people than I had ever had as a public school teacher or a counselor or an opera singer or a religious leader, all the iterations of being an angel that I had been before. So now if I don't ever shut it off, I don't shut it down, but I can go to the grocery store and say, all right, everybody, I just want to hold hands with my husband and walk slowly down the candle aisle. Something like that. And they're real good about that.
Well, okay. So there's a few things in that. The first thing is, to me, it sounds like, which gives me goosebumps, is that you said you made a declaration and that you're all in. There's no messing around.
Yes. Right.
And that really resonates for me, because I got to that point in where the pain was driving me, and I've got, okay, hence the trajectory I'm on, the support shows up.
Yeah.
How refreshing would it be if we could all kind of live like that? But to have that faith, to have that surrender, and it still bites me mind,
Yeah.
like the fear will creep in sometimes. I think, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're human.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still have our ego with us. But also sharing our story with each other and letting other people see that we're doing it and we're still alive and kicking. It's proof that it is to be done. Not that it can be done, but it is to be done. That's what we're here to do.
Mm.
And it's okay to work for other people. We can work for other people who honor us. You don't always have to like clean everything out and say, now I'm on my own. We can collaborate with people who respect us. That's another paradigm shift that's happening with this awakening.
Absolutely. When do you say, what is your, I mean, you don't have to go into too much detail, but what does your world look like then? You know what I mean? Like you say, I just want to go down the shopping aisle and pick my veg or whatever it might be. You know,
Mhm.
if you tune in, are you seeing auras? Are you seeing spirit? Like, what comes through? Does it get distracting? Like, there's so many questions I could ask you around that.
It can get distracting, but I don't mind it. So let's go together to the grocery store. When I am in the grocery store, at any given time, I'll have the music that's playing on their speaker system. Plus, I'll have an overlay of music that might have been playing in the old house that might have been on the land before the grocery store was built, because maybe that couple is present at that moment and they're playing their old record player or their radio. Then I will have people walking in the aisle next to me. And as they're walking, they will have some family members or friends next to them, and they're reminding them, oh, you forgot something in the aisle next to you. You've got to go back. And then I'll hear the people say, oh, I forgot pasta. I got to go back an aisle. So I'm always hearing those conversations. And then I'll have um, a lot of angels who are commenting about, um, well, let's remind them that they have an appointment at 2:30 and there's a lot of like management up above. Let's remind them. Let's remind them. And then there are the miracle worker angels who are up there, and they're always kind of orchestrating something, and they don't ever look down. They're always really busy, but it's kind of in a mist up above. And I call them the miracle. They're actually the cherubim, and they're working up there, and they don't look like fat babies, but they are a little bit smaller when I see them up there. And they're the ones who are working high level, and they're making sure that, let's say, if someone goes out of the parking lot and they're just about to hit someone else, it doesn't happen. They're the miracle workers up there. And then with just about everybody walking around, I can see, it almost feels like a hallucination. It's their auric field around them. And sometimes if I watch them for a while, I can see if they're hungry or if they're upset. And then I can see if someone comes up and talks to them, I can see their aura go to gold for a second when they see joy. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's my life.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's that's wild. That's wild. Like,
Yeah.
it really
The
is.
hands. Oh, that's fun. Oh, I should tell you this part. This is my favorite. I can see when there is an extraterrestrial who is shapeshifted into a human body, or an angel in a human body, and we'll be walking next. I'll pass them and they'll know that I know. And usually they're quite friendly, but sometimes they're not. And especially if they're not, they'll look like a reptilian or something, right? And so I'll see them, and for a second, I'll see them in the reptilian form. And then I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'll look at my phone. Okay, they're gone. Okay.
No shit. So that goes on, like, they'll come into this body, because I remember are you familiar with Thomas Campbell, the NASA physicist? Yeah,
Maybe.
he's a,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yes,
I've
yes.
had him on like 5 times. Every time he talks, I
Yeah,
just
I
like,
like that
yeah,
guy.
yeah, no, he's amazing. It blows my brain. But the last time I had him on, because he was having a conversation, he's like, oh yeah, you can take your consciousness out of your body. You can get permission from the larger database. So that's the word that he uses. And then
Yeah,
you can go into a human body in a different planet,
yeah,
in a different part of the universe,
yeah.
you know,
Travel,
travel.
time travel.
I mean,
Yeah.
this blows your mind. It blows my mind
Mhm.
anyway, because I think about these concepts. I go, oh, wow, like, and how would I respond if I had that opportunity, or if, I don't know. It's just wild, wild. What's going on?
We can all do it.
Why do they walk among us then? Do you think, like that?
Some of them are here because they are learning about how we are right now. So when they are not undercover, they can integrate without having to learn our slang, our money, things like that. And then some of them, they simply have jobs. They have jobs in the government. They're teachers, they're bankers. They just are part of our culture, and they always have been. And then some of them are part of like what I do. I'm a watcher, and they upload back to their councils, back to their leaders. This is what's happening on Earth because they're here in partnership. They've been here because a resource that they have from their planet has been shared with this planet. And so part of that sharing system is they will have a constituency that is here to make sure that that resource is monitored and used appropriately, whether it's nuclear or a crystal system, or animal sharing or something. So yeah, there's lots of different reasons that they'd be here. And then there's the population of star seeds and earth angels who they are a hybrid of extraterrestrials or angels, but they don't remember that. And they're starting to wake up. And these are the people that are feeling like, I know there's something about me, but I don't know what it is. And they're coming into their gifts. And that's a different type of population. And the children who are being born these days, they're coming in more aware of who they are as star seeds, angelic crystal children. And they will help those who are already here. They'll help them remember, oh, that's where I'm from. That's who I am. So their origin, like what I asked you earlier, your origin, we get to remember that more readily, easier in the next 10, 15 years to come, especially. And so the halflings, the earth angels, the half-breeds, and then the full breeds who are here undercover will live harmoniously. For the most part, we'll still have, it'll be messy at some points, but we're here to live in peace. My angels are here.
Do you think that we'll get to a point as humanity where it's almost like the game is up? Here's the curtain's going to be lifted, and then it's like, yeah, all right, this is how it is, guys, and then let's all get along.
Yeah. Yes. We'll know it was just a game very soon.
You think that'll be in our lifetime? Like, do you feel, yeah. It's fascinating because, like, what do you then think our potential is as a human species in terms of biological development? Because there's clearly in my own journey, I've noticed there's things I can't prove, but I can feel my body adapting. I can feel like internally there is things shifting. I'm tuning into things that I couldn't 10 years ago. Like, so there's like, there must be an adaptation at a molecular level, a cellular level, something's going on, or a DNA level for this to be happening.
Something I'm acutely aware of is that every time I'm getting ready to incarnate, especially onto this earth plane, I have a different size brain. And the brain that I receive, it's not like size this or this. It's like a different texture to it. It's got more bumps to it, more canals, more bumps. And when I ask about that and I put my hands on it, when my body's being prepared, one of the things I notice is that time passes differently. And when I asked about that the last time, they said, what you'll notice in the span of this lifetime is that time will pass slow and fast and slow again, because it'll start slow. And then when you are around 35 to 50, and I'm 48 right now, time will move really fast, because as experiences happen, people will experience things layered, and it will make time appear to go very, very fast. And then people will enjoy that at first as if they're consuming soul data, and then they will have a desire to slow everything down again, and they will go back to being slow. And it has the feeling of mindfulness, the feeling of peace. And this, going fast, but didn't feel wrong at all. It felt almost like couldn't be satiated. This more, more, more. This is delicious. More, fill my belly. And they said that this isn't because I'm an angel. This is everyone on Earth. This is part of the new body. And the whole body is behaving in this way because we're moving from our physical body into the crystalline body. And the crystalline body is the body that reflects source, and it can heal on its own. It can be telepathic, and it hears what the mind is saying. So the mind can say, I do not consent to that cancer. I do not consent to that achy hip. Rewrite yourself. Because the old matrix or the old grid belongs to the third dimension that we talked about earlier that died. And it's still running its old program as long as we allow it to. But when we say, I don't consent to that, no, thank you, rewrite yourself. And we don't even have to rewrite the coding. We just say rewrite yourself because it's already rewriting. And you're experiencing it when you feel your body rewriting. I feel it a lot in my brain, especially when I have like a ketamine infusion, something like that, or a psychedelic. When I do that in my journeys, I can really feel the rewriting of the neuroplasticity. And we don't need substances to help us. We really don't. But those who partake, they might experience that even more. When I work with clients and I'm in their, I can call it their blueprint or their soul map, something that they've established before they were born. And it has a lot of pre-life choices. And we go in and we look at how it's going. And if they want to rewrite anything, when they rewrite things about their emotional health or their physical health, I can actually see a lot of their cells popcorning, changing shape. And it looks like Archangel Metatron is often there, and he's using sacred geometry. And he will move them like Legos. He'll snap them together, move them apart. And he'll work in the spinal column. This is all part of what you're saying, where the body knows how to do it. And they're saying to me right now, our bodies have always known how to do this, but we lean too much into science for too many incarnations. And now we're bringing science and spirituality back as equal partners. We're bringing mysticism back.
And that adaptation in the body, I'm just trying to think of the question or how to frame it. That acceleration, is there symptoms people should be aware of? Like, do we need to sit in our shit, if you like, as we start to leave it? Or can it be something that can move quickly? Is it layered? What do you think people should be aware of going through this?
Well, the response I hear from spirit is when you're sitting in this shit, when you're in that low frequency, you're actually experiencing the alchemy. You're experiencing the dispersing of it. And so you don't need to rush that. And you also don't need to judge it. Just let it move out, because the newness of you is what's pushing it out. So wherever it's expressing itself, through your bowels, through your pores, through your auric system, your energy system, wherever it's moving out, you can enhance it with your breath. You can help it. You can help it move out. You can process it out by breathing. And that's not going to move it through too fast. It's just going to help it. And then besides that, they're saying there's no bypassing allowed. So you want to match this with your shadow work, your therapy, talking to yourself, being kind to yourself, any journaling you want to do, going out in the woods, being absent of time, taking naps without setting your alarm, being able to journey, and really just sitting in your shit in that way, and not really sitting in it, but sorry, this is gross, but picking through it, being with it. Yeah, that's important, because if you're dealing with it, if you're noticing the lower frequency stuff, if you're noticing your shadow work, you brought it up on purpose because you're ready. You're not going to be re-traumatized. You're bringing it up because you're ready to. So find a process that works for you that allows you to do that. And if it's starting to trigger you again, put it aside. Ask your higher self or ask your angels, what is something I can handle today? What is something I'm ready for right now? That's too much for me, but what's something I can handle right now?
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of key words that you said that jumped out at me. One is don't judge it. And
Yeah.
how many I've also been conditioned to judge, and just be in
Yeah.
constant space, isn't it? It's easier said than done,
Yeah.
but it's there. Do you feel as well then, from your experience, that yes, we are human and we're having the human experience, but is there a point, do you feel, where the I keep using the word shit. I've said it about 4 times today, but the
Right.
calorie is very limited. But that we get rid of it, right? And it's gone, and it's like I can actually just be at
Mhm.
peace. I can just be at love. I can just be at joy, and I'm just going to navigate my time now in this space.
Yes. And the stuff you went through, the stuff that you alchemized, it then logs as data. You can remember it, but it no longer gets in your way. It lives on a shelf. And I would say it even goes into your Akashic records, it goes into your database. So it becomes your wisdom instead of an obstacle.
Because one thing I ponder on sometimes is like how much digging, like if we keep digging for it, we're going to find something. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, at
Yep,
what point do I stop digging for the shit and just actually get on with living life and enjoy it,
that's right.
and
That's
that
right.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
very wise.
Okay. Yeah. It's just
Yeah.
getting across. One last thing I want to touch on is, because you when you sent me some notes over, I thought, oh, that's interesting. And you've got about living across the multidimensional human. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
can you explain that a little bit more? What it means to be
Yeah. Sure.
multidimensional? And do you look at things like parallel lives, if they are a thing, you know,
Yeah.
multiple realities coexisting at the same time? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this.
I've seen that they are, and I've seen them currently because I still go back to the seraphim realm quite often to help souls prepare for life. I do that in my meditations, I do it in my sleep. And as I see souls prepare for life, what I've noticed in the last 6 to 7 years, especially, is that they are making a choice to combine as much wisdom as they can into one lifetime. And the way they're doing that is they're saying, okay, how many lifetimes can I pack into one? And the creative choice they're making is they're creating parallels, not just bringing in the wisdom from past lifetimes and saying to their angels, okay, now whatever I haven't healed or whatever I want to learn, bring that data into my life choices. That makes sense. Like bring that in through lessons, people, okay, gradually as I live. They're also saying, create as many versions of me as possible in this lifetime so I can be in many places at once, all at the same time, so I can learn as much as I can before I kick the bucket. Here's what it looks like. The person is born, one of them, just one person. Then let's say he is alive for a few years and he makes his first major choice. And his first major choice is to go on his first sleepover. Big deal for him. Well, the opposite choice makes another parallel. Let's imagine that this creates a TV set. And on this TV set, we have now two channels. We have, let's call him Billy. We have Billy, who's at a sleepover, and we have a new channel, Billy, who is not at the sleepover. These channels will never see each other because they're on different channels, different frequencies. Then we go a little further. Billy starts the 4th grade. Okay, another parallel. Billy's family keeps him homeschooled. Another lifetime. These are all new channels. So every time Billy makes a significant choice in his life, the alternate choice creates another lifetime, another channel. So throughout Billy's life, there are all these parallels that begin to happen. Why? Because Billy decided that in this lifetime, he wants to learn so much that he's going to have all these lifetimes happening at once on his TV, in his spirit, in his soul, so that at the end of his life, he has learned so much that perhaps he's not going to come back again. or he has so much to upload to source. He has all this wisdom, all this learning. So parallels are important because when Billy goes to sleep or he meditates, he goes into these other parallels and he pokes around. What am I learning over here that I want to have in my core lifetime? The one we saw very first with Billy when he was born. This one. What's happening up here? Well, gosh, in my dream, I'm really getting along with my wife really well. I really want that here. So I'm going to poke around. Wow, wonder how that's going. All right. I'm going to try to remember that when I'm awake, even if it's subconscious, comes down into the core lifetime. Whatever happens in the core lifetime affects these lifetimes. Whatever happens in these lifetimes affects the core lifetime. These are parallels. They happen for everyone. Everyone has parallels. You have about 5 to 7 that are main parallels that are very significant, where significant things happen. And then you have a bunch of tiny ones that kind of fade after a month or two, where it's just like you get a haircut, you don't get a haircut, those kind of fizzle off.
Have you been shown?
Those are parallels.
Have you been shown yours?
Yes. And what I learned in that was do not interact with your parallels. You will freak them out.
I bet. I can imagine if a parallel V turned up
Other
now.
Rachels are not as spiritual. Yeah, other Rachels are not as spiritual as this Rachel. And so don't talk to them.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Guy, it's wild. So, yeah. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing. Just before we wrap up the podcast, Rachel, a couple of questions for you. Like, do you have practices that you continue to do, or do you just kind of live and breathe it now? You just kind of wear it like a suit? Yeah.
Yeah, both. My personal goal, my personal prayer was that when I said, God, hey, we're going to do this thing, I said, and I don't want my spirituality to be a hobby. I want this to be my life. What could that look like? And now it is. And, you know, everything I do is from the lens of being an angel, and I don't think about it any differently. It just is. And within that, I have practices that help me do that. So I do this thing I saw on TikTok called savoring. And so everything I do, I savor it. So if I have a cup of tea, I turn everything off and I just drink the tea. If I'm listening to my son, I listen to everything that he's saying, and I watch every hair on his beard that he's growing, and I just sit in wonder of it. That's what I do. That's my practice. I savor. If I get a chance to ride in the car, I just look at everything I can. I savor everything, even if it's uncomfortable, especially if it's uncomfortable. I savor it. That's my practice. I savor.
I love it. That I must have been tuning into you this morning, because that actually came in. Honestly, I had a moment. My wife was actually doing a 6 a.m. podcast this morning. The kids were still in bed. I made myself a...
Wow, I'm proud of her.
Yeah, it's
rock
star. I know it's feeling far, but this is what happens when you got young children. It's like, when can we squeeze it all in? But
yeah, I remember.
But I made myself a cup of coffee, and I thought, I'm just going to sit and enjoy this moment. I'm not even like, because I was tempted to turn on the phone, check my emails. You know, I wanted to see if you had got the link and everything. And I thought, no, I'm just going to leave it all and savored the coffee. And yeah, you're so right.
Good.
It's all right.
You can stretch time that way. Just be
in that moment.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom you want to leave the listeners to ponder on with everything we've covered?
I don't know anything. I'm just grateful to be here.
It's been,
They know it all.
It's been a fabulous conversation. Thank you so much, Rachel. Where can people check out your work more? Where can we send them a website?
I have a website. It's my name, Rachel Corpus, CORPUS.com. And that's me. And I'm on all the Facebooks and stuff like that. You know, all of that. That old chestnut.
Right. It becomes part of the course when with this in some ways. But yeah, look, beautiful. Links will be in the show notes for everyone, and whichever platform they're in. And of course, if you're on YouTube, be sure to let us know if you made it here to the end of the conversation and connect with us. Yeah. Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, my lovely. Thank you so much.